I'm Jerusha Sukhthiorath and you're watching News 24 Live, and I'm joined in studio by Brett Herron. He's the Mayoral Committee Member for Transport. And Brett, you and I had a very similar conversation this time last year, Cape Town being named the most congested city in South Africa. So we won't go too much into that because of course our viewers can find that video online. But last year you set out some very specific plans the city had to deal with the problem. I want you to take us through those plans so that we can get an idea of whether they're working. Let's start off with the idea that the city wasn't going to focus on the creation of more roads or wider roads, because at the time you said that that doesn't actually alleviate our congestion problem. Do you maintain that stance?
Absolutely. The future of mobility in any modern city is not private cars. And the congestion on our roads is because there are too many private cars on the road. And the solution is not adding more road capacity or extra lanes. The solution is to encourage people to move in another way. And our focus is on implementing an integrated transport network. And that network will be made up of several modes of public transport. Commuter rail, we know that Metro Rail is modernizing their system. We're going to have beautiful new trains, modern stations, new signaling, so the commuter rail system should work really well in the next few years. The city is rolling out bus rapid transit, the MyCity program, and ultimately we are going to integrate the Golden Arrow bus service into the BRT service and supplement that or complement that with minibus taxis that are operating on new routes. So we are focusing on getting people to use public transport in order to solve our mobility challenges. That's not to say that there are not missing road links. We know that there are missing road links in a number of areas, and we can't ignore those missing road links. So we will be constructing those missing road links to ensure that we support development in those areas. But the focus is not on adding road capacity. We will be focusing on public transport.
Brett, when you talk about missing road links, what are you referring to?
Across the city there are areas which have developed, and there are planned roadways that have been planned for decades that have never been implemented. So many years ago, town planners and transport planners identified that at some point in the future there would need to be a road from this point to that point. That road is not built, but it is reserved. So in other words, we have road reserves, and when the time comes to build those roads, we have the zoning in place. So in three areas in the city, there is what we consider severe traffic congestion. That's Blauberg, Kuilsrivier, and Kormaki. And we are now planning to implement some of those missing links.
So once those missing links are in place, do you foresee an easing in the congestion, or do these missing links go hand in hand with your plan for integrated transport?
The missing links won't address the traffic congestion on their own, and even if they did in the short term, that capacity would soon be consumed by more cars, and we would be back where we are today. So we need to put those missing links in because they are designed to improve the road capacity and the network capacity in those areas. But our road capacity work must be done parallel to public transport work and to encouraging non-motorized transport. So we will be including in the plans, and we have in those plans, additional cycle lanes and pedestrian footways so that people can walk, cycle to a public transport connection and then use public transport to access another part of the city.
Now let's speak a little bit more about this public transport. Last year you spoke about the rolling out of more buses as part of the BRT system. How far have we come in 1 year?
Okay, so we will be bringing phase one of the MyCity service to finality by the end of this year, which means that the full plan for the phase one route from Atlantis to the city centre, all the way down to Hout Bay, Imizamaye to Hangberg, we will be completing that project in terms of rolling out all the planned routes by the end of this year. We have already started the N2 Express service, which is bringing commuters from Mitchell's Plain and Khayelitsha straight to the city centre. We are now planning phase 2, which will connect the Metro Southeast in a east-west direction. That's a long-standing missing public transport link connecting a number of communities to Wynberg and Claremont. But in June last year, we took our integrated public transport network, as it's called, to council for approval. And this is the plan for the next 20 years of public transport. And it identifies that we need 10 new BRT MyCity Bus trunk routes and 1 new rail line to be implemented over the next 20 years. And so we are now working on how we implement that plan.
Now, of course, the City of Cape Town is in control of your bus routes and the bus rapid transport system. But how much influence does City of Cape Town have over rail? Because we know when we speak to our News 24 Live viewers, they're becoming increasingly frustrated with just the lack of delivery when it comes to trying to get a train to work in the morning. Some of us have stood on platforms for hours at a time or had a train come by that we simply just could not get ourselves onto. So how much control does the city actually have over rail?
We have absolutely no control over the operations at the moment. In the long-term vision of an integrated public transport network, we should have more authority over how the service operates, and that is provided for in national government policy and in legislation, but we're not there yet. We're focusing on road-based transport now in terms of being the authority over all road-based transport. In the long-term plans, we would also like to be the authority over commuter rail. But we are the planning authority for all land-based public transport, so that's road and rail. And we have planned the new rail links that are needed in order for our city to have good mobility. And the first rail link that needs to be added to the rail network is the Blue Downs rail link. It will connect the Metro Southeast, Khayelitsha and Mitchell's Plain, directly with the northern suburbs, a direct link to Belleville. And we have planned that. We've taken it through our council. Council has approved that plan. We've presented it to PRASA, who are responsible for the Metro Rail network, and they have accepted that plan, and they are busy preparing their own plans to construct that. So we do have influence over where the future of rail should go and what it should look like in terms of links. At the moment, and we have used that influence, and there's a new rail link being planned, and construction should start in the next 2 years. Ultimately, we would also like to be the authority over the operations so that we can start ensuring that we're more responsive to our commuter needs in an integrated way.
Now, there's no doubt that there are many frustrated Cape Townian travellers. I mean, we sit in the traffic every morning or we struggle with rail. So when there is a frustrated Cape Town resident who needs to get from point A to point B, how do you suggest they find the best route, and how do they get more information about the public transport routes that are available to them?
Well, we have developed a mobile app for all transport users. So it can help private car users and public transport users, and they can find it at any of the app platforms, no matter what mobile platform that they are on. And that's called the TCT app, Transport for Cape Town app. It will help them to make a public transport journey, no matter where they are and what mode they need to use, and it will help them plan a private car journey and provide some information on possible delays and stuff. So in the short term, use the technology, but really what we need people to do in private cars is to make the switch to public transport or to non-motorized transport.
I suspected you were going to say that. So the idea is, if you're traveling in a car, the solution really is for you to get out of it. Yeah. It's not going to get better if more and more people are traveling by private vehicle.
Yeah, there's a wonderful billboard that I've seen. It's somewhere in North America that the Transport Authority there is using. And the billboard says, "You are not stuck in traffic, you are the traffic." And I think that's the message. You are contributing to the traffic if you're sitting in a car. And where you can make a switch, I would really urge people to make that switch.